Another space on the 2024 grid is filled, Singapore may be a tougher weekend for Red Bull, AlphaTauri's driver dilemma, and Mercedes making massive improvements operationally. Let's get into the latest in the F1 world from Media Day in Singapore. This morning, Alfa Romeo Sauber announced that Zhou Guanyu has signed a new contract for 2024 on a one-year extension to his current deal. He made his debut in 2022 as China's first ever full-time F1 driver, and since scoring on debut in Bahrain has made a good impression on the team, who said his maturity and methodical approach to the job meant a new deal was a natural conclusion. Thanks to his new deal, Zhou will have the chance to compete in his home race, the Chinese Grand Prix, which will return to the calendar next season for the first time since 2019, something he's very excited about sharing with all those who have supported him. Zhou will line up alongside 10-time Grand Prix winner Valtteri Bottas, and Teo Pourchaire has also been confirmed as the team's reserve driver for another season. The stability of their driver lineup into next year is important for the team, who are otherwise going through a transformation as they prepare to become Audi in 2026. Are you happy to see Zhou stay for 2024? Max Verstappen is expecting a tougher weekend for Red Bull in Singapore. Despite a totally dominant season so far that's seen him collect a record 10 consecutive wins, Max feels that this weekend's Grand Prix in Marina Bay may be more challenging for the reigning world champions. Max said that street circuits are a little bit tough for their car, so he's expecting it to be very tight competition, but he maintains a level of confidence in saying that he still thinks they can do a good job. Singapore is known to be an incredibly challenging track for the drivers, and is a Grand Prix Max is still yet to win. Being a street track, it's also more risky and chaotic than typical circuits, something Max is very aware of going into the weekend. We've also seen a new technical directive introduced this weekend by the FIA to restrict teams' use of flexible bodywork and wings to prevent anyone from gaining any aerodynamic advantage. Though many teams were hoping Red Bull may be affected, Max denies this and says they've never had any flexible front wing, and so he doesn't think it will hurt them. He'll be doing all he can to maintain his winning streak in what's been an amazing season so far for Red Bull. Do you think he can do it? AlphaTauri have found themselves in a bit of a driver dilemma. So far this season, AlphaTauri have run 4 different drivers in their AT04 car: Yuki Tsunoda, Nick De Vries, Daniel Ricciardo, and now Liam Lawson in Daniel's place following his injury. Daniel's time off has been an opportunity for Liam to show his skills to Red Bull management, and he's definitely impressed, but he's also developed a hunger for a full-time race seat. Speaking today in Singapore, Liam said now that he's had a taste, F1 is definitely something he's fallen in love with, and he doesn't think he can settle for anything less. He's making the most of this rare situation he finds himself in, but by racing for the only team yet to confirm their race lineup for 2024, he must be acutely aware of the chance he has here. But Daniel Ricciardo is understood to still be a priority for a race seat according to their CEO Peter Bayer, who is looking for a lineup with an experienced driver on one side of the garage and a younger one on the other. With Yuki Tsunoda being the only driver who's actually scored points for the team so far this year, AlphaTauri find themselves with 3 potential drivers and only 2 seats. But according to a column by journalist Chris Medland, Tsunoda may find himself out of the seat by next season, and instead in a role that's previously been filled by Alex Albon, Liam Lawson and Daniel Ricciardo, the Red Bull reserve role. Whether this is the case or not remains to be seen, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on who will stay at AlphaTauri for next year. Lewis Hamilton has said that Mercedes are making massive improvements. Mercedes have been on a tough journey since the new regulations came in 2022, but have enjoyed some podium finishes, pole positions and a win from George Russell when their car behaves. But this more difficult time for the Brackley-based squad has meant they're focusing more on the journey and are flat out to make sure they get back to the front, according to Lewis Hamilton. The 7-time world champion has spoken out about the massive improvements the team are making operationally due to not having the best performance or car in the last 2 years. He says their communication, infrastructure and how they spend their time and energy has improved, and the team has been more able to recognise where they've gone wrong and how they can improve as a collective. Having won in Singapore 4 times previously, Lewis is clearly confident around the Marina-based circuit and says there's always potential, particularly as there's less corners for Red Bull to get too far ahead. How do you think Mercedes can do this weekend? You're all caught up with the latest in the F1 world. What did you make of these stories? Let us know in the comments, like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to Apex for the latest in the F1 world.